Hi, I'm Ti-Hua Chang from TYT Investigates, part of the Young Turks online news organization. And I'm going to be talking today about how Donald Trump is meeting with the oil CEOs of the seven biggest oil companies in America. He's meeting at the White House. And what I did, I have an article that's coming out today uh, entitled Trump Meets Big Oil. And what I basically said in the article is I juxtaposed that meeting at the White House with big oil versus the un, generally unreported everyday meetings that a number of the environmental organizations have on a daily basis as they try to advance the cause of environmental, against climate change and all those against the climate deniers and against global warming and trying to improve things. So what I said in my article basically is that in Washington, D.C., we had two distinct worldviews competing, one at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and 2.4 miles away at the Congress. We had a completely different one. Uh, so we have, the oil execs in Trump on one hand, and then the environmentalists, mainly through Zoom, by the way, meeting on a daily, unreported, kind of like very ordinary, sort of like not really special, but sort of the everyday work of the environmental activists. And so, and the environmental activists are trying to push forward the House proposal for a bill, which they're calling now moving forward framework. It's for the basically a $760 billion proposal to improve the infrastructure of the United States. A lot of things in that, everything from $329 billion for highways and $34 billion for clean energy. Important to note now that, approximately 17% of the US energy output is now from renewable sources like solar, wind, and geothermal. And that we already have, I thought it was 250,000 people working in the solar industry. I was told yesterday by one environmentalist it's actually moved up to 300,000 plus. So we'll have to check that to see exactly that. But the North American director of 350.org, Tamara Tolles O'Loughlin, issued a statement about the Trump oil meeting. She said the president of the United States should be meeting with 10 million Americans who have filed for unemployment because of the pandemic. He should be reaching out to the nurses and the doctors who are risking their lives and to try to save the patients, along with the police and firemen and the grocery workers and delivery persons and everybody who's working to try and keep us all, keep the society and economy going during this pandemic. And she said that he should be meeting with, he's talking about, he definitely meet with the doctors and nurses who are treating sick patients even without protective gear or equipment. And she said it's disrespectful that instead he's chosen to roll out the red carpet for oil executives. She said, quote, "It's shameless." On Wednesday, President Trump said that he would invoke the Defense Production Act to purchase oil to fill the country's strategic petroleum reserve, using this executive power, which, by the way, first came about in the Korean War. It's basically a wartime thing. And by doing that, he would bypass Congress and the environmentalists who actually stopped in the previous $2.2 trillion stimulus act, stopped including or prevented any oil money from going, any bailout for the oil industry to go in there. And so because of that, if he does that, he'll be bypassing Congress. He could invoke the Defense Production Act, which he's done many times before, but he could also change his mind, which he's also done many times before. Now, on Thursday, President Trump tweeted that he had convinced Saudi Arabia and Russia to reduce oil production. And by reducing the oil production, you have to realize right now what's going on is that because, it started first that Russia first, which was angered because the United States, and to Trump's credit, we have to acknowledge that he still is keeping some of the sanctions against Russia. The United States was blocking the natural gas pipeline going from Russia to Germany, which is, a lot of money for Russia. And because of that, the Russia, which had been keeping their production a little bit lower for oil production, along with Saudi Arabia, and that was helping the oil prices and helping the United States, because the United States then became an oil exporter, because when it's higher price for barrel of oil, then the shale manufacturers, the shale oil drillers, um, they're able to make a profit because it's expensive to use fracking and get the oil out of the shale rock. But anyway, so Russia is upset about the U.S. sanction against the natural gas pipeline to Germany. So they then went to OPEC and said, we're going to now raise our production level. And remember, raising production levels, you then usually lower the cost. And they raised the production level. And then Saudi Arabia, in response, after the OPEC meeting, Russia is not part of OPEC, but they did meet with them. They do meet on a regular basis. They then said, we're going to raise our production. And they raised their production to 12 million barrels per day, which is a record, reportedly a record. And so what happened then with the pandemic, while the supply is going up and the demand is going down, what happens then, of course, there's lots of stuff, nobody wants it, and no one's buying it, so the price went down. The price used to be $60 a barrel just 2 years ago, now dropped down to around 20, and then because of Trump's tweet went up, I think, briefly to 25 for WTI, which is West Texas Intermediate Crude Oil, which is the standard they use for knowing the oil prices, because there are so many different prices. In any case, so Tyson Slocum, who's the energy program director for the advocacy group Public Citizen, told the Young Turks and TYTI Investigates in an email that in 2012, President Obama had invoked the Defense Production Act to save the biofuels industry. And he noted that the latest Department of Energy solicitation was for storage and not purchase of oil. And that would be a way to help the oil companies, because apparently there's so much oil now and with so little demand because of the pandemic. And the economy has already been, some estimates reduced as much as 30%. But so with the demand for oil going way down, and so what's happening is they have a lot of oil there that they're not selling, so they're having trouble storing it. And Slocum says he's heard of cases where they're storing it in the pipelines where you transport the oil from one location to another. They actually use that and leave it there and don't send it through. That's how much of a problem they're having now storing the oil. There's so much capacity to store oil. So that would be a way that Trump may be able to help the oil industry. And I also put in this article that that in the 2015 budget bill, Slocum notes that the budget bill created an energy security fund to help pay for the strategic petroleum reserves maintenance. Now, those are actual physical storage tanks along the Gulf of Mexico in the southern part of the United States. And so they have to be maintained. And he said that fund has around, according to Slocum, he estimates around $850 million. And so the DOE could use that money to buy the oil as well. So it's all up in the air. There are a number of things that President Trump could do in support of the oil industry. As we know, fossil fuel industry, oil, gas, even coal, and to pollute the air. And in the meantime, the EPA issued, using the pandemic, saying during this terrible pandemic that, we have to stop, we won't prosecute, businesses can go ahead and pollute because we're not going to go after them anymore because of the pandemic. We need to let business, do everything they can, which a lot of environmentalists find, abhorrent. So by the way, the 7 executives reportedly that are going to be at this meeting are the ExxonMobil Corporation, which is the number 1 oil in the United States, ExxonMobil Corporation CEO Darren Woods, the Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, the Continental Resources founder Harold Hamm, who we told you about before in the last report, has been for tariffs on foreign oil, because that would help the shale oil industry, of which he's invested a lot. Also attending this meeting is the Occidental Petroleum Corporation CEO Vicky Hullab, and the Devon Energy Corporation CEO David Hager, and the Phillips 66 CEO Greg Garland, and the Energy Transfer CEO Kelsey Warren. An interesting thing that we had talked before to some staff members for some House Democrats who pointed out that Donald Trump, tends to support whomever gives him the most money. And in checking the Federal Election Commission records, which the quarterly results were released a few days ago, Kelsey Warren has given an obscene amount of money to Donald Trump, individually, to his legal limit, but through one of the political action committees, like $350,000 plus. And then his political action committees have given, he's given money to the Republican National Committee and the Republican campaigns for Senate and Congress in the tune of like $500,000. So I think we could safely, or at least, safely assume that Donald Trump will be paying attention to Kelsey Warren at this meeting. But the oil companies are not one monolith either. So while the big industries have talked and said we don't really want to bail out the smaller industries like Harold Hamm's shale companies and mid-sized to small oil companies that are doing fracking to get shale oil, those companies do want help, and they've also talked about a tariff against foreign oil, American oil companies, which would raise the price of oil. But again, this is while we're still, many states like New York are still trying to get ventilators and masks and deal with that. Donald Trump is meeting with oil executives, and Warren also, directly or indirectly, has given more than $1 million to conservative political action committees, and that's Kelsey Warren, who's from the Energy Transfer LLC, which is based in Dallas, Texas. Let's see, and we did talk about the White House meeting. So while the White House meeting is going on, every day we have meetings with environmentalists, and they have, because of the Senate bill, which was the passage of the House Bill 748, which got renamed to became the $2.2 trillion stimulus bill. That bill is signed by President Trump. That bill went through the Senate at what's considered lightning speed, faster than, at least one lobbyist said to me, faster than any other bill she's ever seen go through the Senate. And because of that speed, the environmental lobbyists all said they had to work equally fast. And what happened is their coalition really coalesced, according to those lobbyists, and they worked and got into subcommittees like the House does and the Senate does, committee and subcommittee, and then had more meetings, and they learned to move very, very quickly. So while that's going on, a number of these environmental groups, and among them, we can, at least one lobbyist said to me, they include the Sierra Club, Oil Change International, 350.org, Greenpeace, and Sunrise Movement, among many other environmental groups, environmental lobbyists. They've been meeting on a daily basis, and sort of like a unheralded, unreported daily basis as part of their standard work. The only difference is they're moving faster now because of what the Senate bill moving so quickly. So now with this new House bill coming up, the $760 million infrastructure House bill, they're saying that they're hoping that this coalition, they're able to still work very quickly. And they're saying that they have to April 20th, which is when the Congress reconvenes. And so they have a little more time this time, but their coalition now is working as the President Trump meets with oil, the environmentalists are meeting on the other side of town, and mainly through Zoom, I think. And because of the social distancing, they're meeting to try and organize the environmental action in order to, this is a wake-up call. The pandemic is like a wake-up call to say, listen, we've got to change everything. Because a number of scientists have already said that the climate change and the climate crisis, which could peak in 20 by 2050, will make this pandemic look like nothing. They said the climate crisis by 2050 certainly, and even by 2030 will be much worse than this pandemic. Hard to imagine that now, but yes, a number of scientists have said that it's pretty clear to them now that this is a wake-up call. We need to start responding to the environment and making the environment cleaner and better and using more renewable, sustainable energy sources. Now, the House Democrats, one thing among the Democrats and certainly among the lobbyists, environmental lobbyists, is an emphasis that to emphasize to the oil, gas, and coal workers, we don't want to take your jobs away. We want to switch your jobs. In other words, we want to make sure that we, provide jobs. And this new House proposal, it's not a bill yet, the House proposal is hoping to have 10 million new jobs in, sustainable and renewable energy and other types of pro-environment projects, including infrastructure, highways, electric cars, improving railroads, solar, wind, geothermal, et cetera, and all the different things. They're hoping to provide 10 million jobs, which would be needed certainly this year and in the future. The $760 million for this infrastructure plan that the environmental lobbyists are working on centers on developing community health centers to combat the coronavirus, and highway improvement, public transit, railroads, airports, clean water, wastewater treatment, harbor infrastructure, clean energy, broadband for the entire country, including rural areas, and public safety. It's all included in the $760 billion, what at this point is a Democratic wish list. It still has to go through Mitch McConnell in the Senate, and then Donald Trump would have to sign it. And as one lobbyist put it, as she said, Mitch McConnell is in a tight race, so he might actually listen. And as for Donald Trump, she said, he's never going to change. We just have to vote him out in November. That was from one lobbyist. And so the key issue then, certainly the one lobbyist I spoke to keep in mind, that they want the public to keep in mind, again, is that this is about not taking away or hurting the workers in the oil, gas, and coal industries, but actually transferring them and giving them green jobs. So we want to make sure that they're employed as well, and that's important to note. And there are, in fact, hundreds of thousands of jobs in the sustainable energy and non-polluting energy sources like solar and wind, et cetera. So now let me. I've been going live for a while, and let's see what we've got. I'm hoping I did this right this time, and I know I hit public. Okay, and I'm now pulling up the. Been talking nonstop for 20 minutes here. So, okay, let me see what's kind of comments we've got, if any. I did this right. On Wednesday, again, I'm Ti-Hua Chang, the new climate change investigative reporter for TYTI Investigates. And so I'll be doing these webcasts or videos every Wednesday and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Jonathan will be doing Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And so let's see. I'm trying to see if any of the comments here. 51 persons are watching. That's good. So this time I did it right. On Wednesday, I did not hit public, and I ended up speaking to myself. And then, okay, my computer's a little slow here. My phone is doing all the work here. It's doing both my doing this webcast, and also the hotspot is getting me a signal from my laptop, and let's see what's, okay, I'm trying to see, let's see. Uh-oh. Chat is disabled for this live stream. Why is that? Okay, I've done something wrong again. I think eventually I should be getting this right, right? Maybe by next week. Let's see. Um, hmm. Chat is disabled for this live. Let's see if we can. Why would it be disabled? Okay. Bear with me here if you don't mind. I'm trying to get the chat up. It was up last. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Okay, I'm computer's a little slow here. Apologize for that, but the art I wrote, it should be coming out later today on TYT. TYT Investigates, the Young Turks, and I'm trying to see why. Oh, here we go. Share. Okay. I still have 38 of you watching. Okay, Jonathan apparently, I guess YouTube changed the default settings. Okay, I don't see, I've only got one comment from Jonathan Larson, I think, saying put some comments here. I don't know why I would do that. Not him, but I don't know why the YouTube would change the settings on this. Okay. Chat is disabled for this live stream. That's funny. Okay. Gee, this is my favorite part, is to be able to respond to the different chats that are up there. If you've got any comments, I guess you can share your thoughts in the comment section. If you do it in the comment section, I can see that and reply to it. Of course, let's see. Let's see if anyone's put in a comment section. Nope, not yet. So, seems like I've had a problem with figuring this out. I'm not used to doing all the camera work. I will figure it out by next week. I'm going to practice all weekend, I promise. And we'll find out exactly what happened to this comment section. Huh. Okay, well, so again, I guess some final thoughts about this is that as we are sheltering in our homes and we're keeping social distance, actually it's better we just stay at home and shelter, not go out, but that's possible. But when you go out, we have to make sure we keep that social distance. And now, apparently, I guess because more masks are getting out there, although not, they're suggesting, the doctors and the experts are saying that maybe people should start wearing masks so that, when you wear a mask, for example, I've got this one, which is not an N95. I'm not taking this away from, it's just one like that. And it has a little filter inside of it. When you wear something like this, that it actually does prevent, if a person has any kind of sickness, if you wear this will actually protect others. So now there is a suggestion that when people go out, in addition to social distancing, that you also wear a mask. And and then I don't know about the gloves yet, but I would think you just, as long as you don't wear gloves and then forget and touch your face or something like that. But they also indicate covering your eyes too, because you can get infection from the eye, and then the virus can live in various places like that. So on that note, I don't see any comments. So it's now almost noon time. So and everyone stay safe. have a good weekend and shelter in. And again, one thing that everybody, if you get a chance, want to do some reading, you could go to TYT Investigates, read the article, the new article about Trump meeting with big oil at the same time that sort of unheralded, the environmental lobbyists are meeting together with each other to try to push for the sustainable energy and non-polluting sources and just change the direction that this country is going in the world in order to avoid the climate crisis. Or climate catastrophe at this point in 2050. So everybody keep safe and have a good weekend. And I'm Ti-Hua Chang from TYT Investigates, and hope to see you next Wednesday and have all of these technical issues worked out. Take care.